Hey guys, hope you're all having a great day. In today's video, I have 7 different shrubs that I want to be putting in the ground. I guess 2 of them are perennials, but let's take a look at what I have. So here are the 7 things that I'm going to be planting. First up is this arborvitae. This is a type of Thuja occidentalis. It's called Wansdyke Silver is the variety. What I really love about this arborvitae is it has this beautiful yellow variegation to it. It's kind of like a creamy yellow, and it's very uniform throughout the entire plant. You don't notice it a whole lot from far away, but once you get up close, you really start to see all the color in it. And this was too hard to not get. So I ended up picking this out, and I do have a spot in place. Next up are 2 hollies that are called sky pencil. These are a Japanese holly, which is Ilex crenata. And if you've heard of the sky pencil holly, those are the ones that are like very formal looking, very upright. And this is actually a conical sport that grew from them. So I'm really excited to get these in the ground, but I just love the way that Japanese hollies happen to look. Next to them are 2 astilbe. This one is a variety called Dark Side of the Moon, and you know that I love purple foliage plants, so I have a spot for these 2 that are going to go in. We also had a pretty major frost this morning. It got down to I think about 23 degrees, and these actually still look really good from that frost, which I'm kind of surprised by because they looked like this when I bought them too. But after that, these other 2 plants that you see are a type of 9-bark that are called Fireside. I'm really excited about these. You can see kind of that new growth is almost like a reddish color. But again, more purple foliage because I love purple foliage plants. And then the last thing is this Japanese maple that I actually got earlier on in the summer. This is a type called Oridano Nishiki, if I'm not mistaken. The one thing though is I have to work on the shape of this, and I might be doing some major pruning on this. You can see where this starts off, it's kind of curved, so I'm gonna see what I'm gonna end up doing. I have a place to put this in the ground. I just might end up cutting off like this whole top portion, or I might leave this section and just cut this large branch off. So I think I'm gonna plant it in the ground first, see how it looks, and then decide what I should do in terms of pruning. All right, I've got a couple hours of sunlight left, so I'm gonna get all these in the ground, and then I can show you where they go, and then I'll talk about the sizes of them, requirements, all that good stuff afterwards. ground, so let's take a look at where everything went. So the first thing I planted was this Wansdyke Silver Arborite. Now, where this is located is on the side of the house here, if you remember where the weeping Norway spruce is, the 2 knockout roses, the 2 Japanese silvergrass, and then the hydrangea, and then this brings us to like the front of the house. So right on this corner, there's this gate that I'll open up that will lead me into the backyard, and I just figured this is kind of an empty space where there was just grass here, there wasn't really anything else, but this will provide a nice, you know, burst of color throughout the entire season. It actually is starting to brown out a little bit for the winter, but still has some nice color to it. This arborvitae, I think, is hardy in zones 5 through 7 or 3 through 8. I will put it on the screen what the correct amount is, because I did just try to look it up, because I only have the tag from the garden center, so it doesn't give all that information. And then this will end up getting, it's said about 5 to 7 feet tall and then 4 to 5 feet wide. I think it's going to get more than 5 to 7 feet. This fence is about 5 to 6 feet tall. I would argue this is probably going to get more on like the 8 to 10 foot range. But we've got the arborvitae right here, and then this will be backed by, if I go in here, just trying to open up the gate, you can see there is the southern magnolia here on the corner. So you'll see the arborvitae kind of peek up through the end of this fence, and then we'll have the magnolia, which will grow into a full-size tree from the backyard. All right, next up are the 2 skybox hollies. So this is a cover for the septic system, which obviously has to stay in place. There's another one there, and then there's another one on the other side. But I wanted to plant something on either side of that cover, in the sense that we could kind of use this cover as like a stepping stone to walk to wherever we're going. But then have something on either side that would be a nice green structure. I also wanted something that was purely just green, because this is a variegated color, even though it doesn't look a whole lot like it. And there's not any other green happening in this area. There's brown from the mulch, there's blue from the stones, there's kind of a lot going on, so I just wanted a nice green break. And if you take a look at the tag for this holly, it actually is only hardy in zones 6 through 8, so a little bit on the warmer side. It gets 4 to 5 feet tall, 2 to 3 feet wide, and this is actually a sport of the sky pencil holly, but it grows more conically. So I'm not going to prune this, I'm going to let it just do its thing, and these should really start to fill in. And they're not going to get too big, because this is probably only about a 3 to maybe 4 foot bed at the widest. So I think they'll fill in this space without getting too large. Okay, this next spot I'm sure is a little difficult to see. I also will mention that these 2 Astilbe plants that I put in the ground have made it through another couple of kind of tough frosts, so they're not looking as hot as when I first planted them, but that's fine. They can just go dormant here for the winter. But this is Dark Side of the Moon Astilbe, as you can see here. What's really nice about these is that they'll have the nice dark purple leaves here and here, and then that is a coast-to-coast hosta, which has a very bright pop of like kind of almost chartreuse color, but very almost yellowish in color. So they'll contrast nicely. We've got the juniper here, and then it'll just be grass in front of it. From the back of this tag, you can see that they get about 20 to 22 inches tall. Spacing is 2 to 2.5 feet. Hardy in zones 4 through 9, and they're going to want full sun to full shade, so you really can put these pretty much anywhere. These have kind of a part shade situation. They will get sun from this area as the sun kind of moves through here in the summertime, so they'll get a lot of morning sun, but then be shaded for most of the afternoon, and this I consider as more of a shade bed than anything else. So they'll fill up this space, more of a front of the garden bed, or front of the garden plant, and then that hosta will grow right behind them. So that's where I was standing before, and I just want to show you, this is this new bed that I've been creating. There's a lot of space still to fill, but I planted the Japanese maple and the 2 9-barks here. First thing I want to show you is the tag for the 9-bark. This is the Fireside variety. They do want full sun, hardy in zones 3 to 7. They get about 5 to 7 feet tall, 4 to 6 feet wide, and I did end up pruning these back. And the main reason I pruned them back is they had some kind of weird branches growing onto them, and I just wanted them to grow more consistent and with a better shape for next season. Naturally, you don't really want to prune 9-barks, but I'm doing this as more of just a preventative measure, so that way they have a good shape for the future. I will say that they are not going to necessarily get full sun here. It's going to be more of like a part sun, where it's kind of more that morning sun, some afternoon shade. I want to do some pruning on these branches to give them a little more light for next year, but my hope is by choosing a variety that has extremely dark leaves, that I'll still get a purple element in here. They won't flower as much, they won't grow as vigorously, they'll probably be a little bit of a mucky color in terms of having a little bit more green and a little less purple, but I'm totally okay with that, because I think they're still going to get the job done and they'll still get enough sunlight. Now with this Japanese maple, this also is really tough, because this was bent quite a ways. which I think I talked about at the beginning of this video. But after doing some major pruning, I cut off the whole top section, this branch. I ended up cutting a lot off of. And then by securing this stake, which this is the same stake, but I took it out of the ground and just secured it pretty tightly at the bottom, I was able, I think, to get a pretty straight trunk. I think this tree actually has a really nice shape to it. There's going to be a little separation from the bottom branches, as you can see growing down here, to the top branches, but I think over time that'll correct itself. We'll see how it leaves out next year. I'm not going to touch this anymore besides that. And I gave every other branch kind of like a tip pinch, and I think that'll really help with the shape of this tree. But I'm very excited about it, and I think it's going to do well in this spot. Okay, I know that was a lot of talking, but I think it's important to explain a couple of things because some of these plants I'm not using directly for their intended purposes, but I think that it'll make sense in the end, and in a couple years you'll hopefully see what it is that I'm talking about. So we'll kind of see. It'll be a fun experiment, especially with those 9 barks. But overall, I'm really excited to get this stuff in the ground. Again, all these plants that I ended up getting, except for the Japanese maple, which I had before on hand, and then the arborvitae, were 75% off at Lowe's, which is awesome. So I got them for a really good price, which is why I ended up taking them home and getting them in the ground. But I think I'm done for the season. I think. So we'll see. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions, comments, concerns, anything like that. You know the drill. You can put them in the comment section down below. I'm excited to hear what your opinions are. Besides that, I hope you guys like this video, and I will see you in the next one.